Right, the Trump administration is pausing all military aid to Ukraine. And this comes after Friday's Oval Office dust-up with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy. In an interview that aired last night on Fox News, Vice President J.D. Vance said, quote, "The door is still open for Zelenskyy."
What President Trump has said clearly and consistently is, of course, the door is open so long as Zelenskyy is willing to seriously talk peace. You can't come into the Oval Office or anywhere else and refuse to even discuss the details of a peace deal. Look, this is not going to make anybody happy. The Russians are going to have to give up stuff. The Ukrainians are going to have to give up stuff.
CBS News foreign correspondent Imtiaz Tyab is in Kyiv and joins us now to talk about this. Imtiaz, what is, if any, the immediate effect on Ukraine's fighting on the front lines from this stop that Trump has ordered in U.S. aid?
Harold, good morning to you. Well, a Ukrainian official has told CBS News the Trump administration's suspension of military aid to Ukraine really gives this country only around 6 months before it starts running short of vital ammunition. Now, this, of course, as we've been hearing, the White House continues to pile pressure on Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy to pursue peace with Russian leader Vladimir Putin. Now, having said all of that, we also have other reporting that the decision to pause or suspend aid, which is the language coming from the Trump administration to Ukraine, was made on the 21st of January, the day after the inauguration of President Trump. So whatever we saw in the Oval Office on Friday, that shouting match, frankly, that was heard around the world, this was a decision that has been long in the making, and it is now being announced publicly. Errol.
And we saw, Imtiaz, after the Oval Office exchange, that Zelenskyy was welcomed really with open arms by the UK Prime Minister and other European allies, and kind of a European response and show of strength. So how now is Kyiv responding to this new climate?
Yeah, I think there's a sense of shock, a sense of nervousness, and a real recalibrating of what to do. As you correctly described, that summit in London where Volodymyr Zelenskyy, again, after that shouting match at the Oval Office, was then seen being hugged by UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer, people like Emmanuel Macron, the French president, or the Canadian leader Justin Trudeau. It was a very different reception, and Ukraine was made promises from European countries who, I should stress, already provide around 50% of military aid and assistance to Ukraine. The U.S. provides around 49%. Still, that is a huge gap to fill for any of those European countries. That is something that Ukraine will desperately need as they continue to fight against Russia.
And Imtiaz, just in our last minute with you, does it appear coming out of that European summit that Kyiv might be able to make up some of what the U.S. stops sending via the European allies that Zelenskyy met earlier?
Yeah. Indeed. Yeah, it's a pretty tough question to answer, and I don't think the Ukrainians have an answer as they try to grapple with what they're going to do next. They will no doubt increasingly turn to European partners who already, again, as we've been saying, provide over half of the military assistance that Ukraine receives. But Ukraine also, it has to be said, has extraordinarily, over the last 3 years, become its own manufacturer of weapons, drones, and other things. And so as Russia war rages on, it will continue to fight. But it is a fight that is ongoing. Overnight, the Kremlin launched major drone strikes on the cities of Sumy and Odessa, wreaking havoc. Errol.
All of this still unfolding in real time. Imtiaz Tyab, we appreciate your reporting from Kyiv.